Alright guys, this is Dorathor from Team Ragnarok, and I will be bringing you yet another cast. And I know you've all been looking forward to it because you enjoy it just as much as I do, I hope. And I will finally be able to talk to you normally, without having to shout or have my microphone interrupted by crazy sounds or stuff like that. And I hope you all noticed how much time, or at least you've noticed the result of the microphone enhancement that I have been trying so desperately to do. It should now be completely without those nasty background noises, and it should be quite a much louder as well. So the quality should improve very nicely. And for the first cast of the awesome microphone, I've decided to finally bring up a video of how to make fun and creative while still being good decks. And during this cast I'll give you a couple of tips on how to make your own like good deck, but I mean, well, we all know that competitive decks are competitive because they've been tested thoroughly and people win with them and they're consistent, they've got strategies and stuff like that. But the real reason that competitive decks are good decks is because most of the decks were made by someone, and that someone created the deck out of a simple or not so simple strategy, and through lots of testing and games and stuff like that, finally it became a finished product of a deck which works and plays well and wins games pretty much. But we all know that some decks are not as good as others, and it can be a real challenge to actually build a deck that's good competitively. It can win games and it can do it consistently. It isn't gimped, but at the same time it has to be creative, fun, stuff like that, and that's pretty much what we've been doing or trying to do for this channel in all this time. We've been trying to make different decks that have a specific theme or a way to win, and we've tried to take them and use them competitively, try them against other decks at regionals and stuff like that, trying to give you updates on how that goes. And in general, I think we've done a pretty good job so far. And now I will try to give you a couple of those tips that we use when we create new decks, so you can create your own amazing decks with fun and awesome strategies. Alright, so first off we will be talking a little about deck types. First you have to figure out what kind of deck do I want to make. Pretty much most of the quote-unquote creative decks you're going to make are going to be up here in the combo decks. Basically, of course, these lists are debatable. This is my personal opinion, and you don't necessarily have to agree, but whatever. For the purpose of this cast, I've tried to come up with a few examples of the three main categories of decks which I find. And the first one being combo decks, which usually rely on a specific number of combos and stuff like that. For example, in plant decks, where you have different engines working together to create a consistent synchro deck, with synchroing as the main combo, but many ways to get there. Then there is the quasar deck, which usually it's also kind of a synchro deck, but the main purpose of the deck is to bring out quasar, so it has that combo as well. You could call it a hybrid of plant and junk and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. Then you have burn or stall decks, which have a specific purpose of getting the opponent's life points to 0 or drawing Exodia or whatever it is you want to do. Then you have rabbit decks, which are also kind of a it's debatable if it's a combo deck or more like a stun deck, but I guess that depends on how you play it. But usually you play around the rabbit engine, but you also have a lot of other engines working, stuff like that thrown together to make a consistent deck. Same goes with Flamewell, a bit like Rabbit I suppose, but instead of Rabbit you use Flamewells to bring out synchros. And Dragons are again a bit debatable, but I guess it isn't really a archetype as much as many other decks, so I chose to put it here. And basically in combo decks is where you will be making most of your decks, because I guess anti-meta decks are also kind of creative or stuff like that, but I guess most of our decks or most of our decks from this channel are up here, and I suppose yours will be as well. Don't quote me on this though. And then there are R-type decks or Konami decks, where Konami basically gives you all of the playing cards to use it. You just have to put in some staples and stuff like that. And those include Lightstorm, where you have your charge, your solar recharge, your monsters and stuff like that all mapped out. You just have to choose the right ones. And then there's Darkrow, all the combos and stuff like that. Wind Up, where you have the cards, the spell cards, the combos and stuff like that all made up nice and easy. In Sector as well, Gladiator Beasts and Pure Agents in the start of the format, where people played only agents. That was pretty much a starter deck that Konami gave out. I remember for a regional a bit back where the agents had just come out the day before, and people pretty much just bought 3 of the what's it called, boxes, 3 of the packs with agents, like the pack or deck or whatever with 40 cards, 3 of those, and made a deck out of them, and they actually ended up like doing real well, like topping stuff like that. So there's a real Konami deck, if there was any, at least in the pure version. And then there are anti-meta decks that focus on ruining everybody else's lives and making them horrible and miserable and angry. Stuff like that include Chi Stun, Test Genius, and stuff like that. I won't really go into a lot with these decks because the main strategy is pretty much the same. Look at how the meta works and try to counter it as best you can, and hope you don't get sacked. They all work pretty much the same, just in different ways, I guess. So those are pretty much the 3 types of decks there is, at least for me. And I will be talking about, I guess, this kind of deck, but also a little bit about anti-meta decks, because those are actually, for me, like as a player, anti-meta decks apply mostly to me because I like reading the meta and how it works, and just looking for changes and stuff like that, and trying to outplay my opponents by knowing what they will do before they do it, so, and creating my decks accordingly. For example, if you've seen some of the other videos where you see me play Flamel, it is a very much stun based Flamel deck. It's not much but the combo of Flamel, it's more about gaining advantage and keeping advantage and getting a simplified game state and locks and stuff like that. So that applies mostly to me as a player. And I'll be showing you a new deck I've been working on in the end if we have enough time, which I hope we will. So basically, I'll give you a few tips on how to make combo decks and how to make them work properly. Okay, so here's a section that I would like to call bad cards. Bad cards are pretty much the way I define cards that could be used differently. In my opinion, a deck should always consist of 40 or 41 cards, or a little bit above perhaps, depending on what your deck needs and whatever. So you should use those spots the best efficient way you can. And cards like Sakuretsu Armor are just plain out bad, because this is the worst kind of card. because this card has so many better alternatives, better ways to use monster removal. If you want to play monster removal that badly, you can always play Dimensional Prison, Bottomless Trap Hole, Smashing Ground, stuff like that. That works a lot better than plain old Sakuretsu armor. Then there is the second worst thing. It's cards with better alternatives. Cards like Dustinator and Thunder of Ruler both have better alternatives. This could be a Threatening Roar and this could be a Mystical Space Typhoon. There will never be a reason to play a worse alternative of a card, no matter how much you like it. Perhaps you could play Dustinator if you already have 3 MSCs and you desperately need more monster removal because, well, I don't know, because it's some strange trap card meta or whatever. But unless you have not already maxed Mystical Space Typhoon, please don't play Dustinator. It's just stupid. Alright, next card, or next part of card, is the worst kind of, one of the, pretty much, I guess it goes in the same category as Sakuretsu armor as the worst kind of cards. Is cards you play because you like them. Cards you've seen in the anime that make you feel all happy and tingly inside are not worth playing in a creative competitive deck. The line between creative and bad is really slim. Like it's a thin line that goes between what is good but hasn't really been used well so far and what is just plain out bad. Cards like Dark Magician should pretty much never ever find their way into a good deck. It is just, if you play this card because you need something to tribute 2 monsters in order to normal summon, then that's pretty much the reason why you keep losing, I will guess. Cards like Blue Eyes White Dragon do have some use in decks like Dragons, where you can use the White Stone of Legends to get them up to the hand and discard them as part of a draw engine or whatever. It can be useful, but if you play it just as a normal summon monster, that's just plain out stupid. Don't play cards that are hard to get out and don't really do much. The only reason why you can play Quasar Dragon is because it is so goddamn broken when you finally get it out. So it's worth all of the trouble of getting it out. I guess that's pretty much it. Don't play cards that are just bad. Don't play cards with better alternatives, and don't play cards because you like them. Play them because they're good. I mean, when I say don't play cards because you like them, it doesn't mean you can't play a specific strategy or a specific playstyle. Playstyles are good, but you shouldn't play cards just because you like them. You should play them because they're good as well. Okay, so for the purposes of this demonstration, I have chosen to again use the Quasar deck that we made not so long ago, and just to demonstrate how you make a creative or deck that's inspired by a card or something like that and make it work in the current meta. So first of all, you find out, okay, what does my deck want to do? And in this case, the deck wants to make this card. If I can find it, there it is. Shooting Quasar Dragon. So next question is, how do you want to achieve your goal? So basically, you want to synchro as much as you can. To get this card out, you need to synchro level 5 monsters and get a non-tuner synchro monster and stuff like that. Basically, you want to do this. So how are you gonna achieve this? Well, basically, we've chosen to use the junk quick draw engine combined with tuning to basically, because junk synchron will usually get out a level 2 monster, and that makes a level 5, and quick draw when discarding level leader will easily give you access to another level 5, or basically it will give you access to easy synchros constantly. And alright, so but only those 9 cards that make a consistent deck. So Basically, the next part is about making it a consistent deck. So what you do is you take a few strategies. It's always okay to borrow strategies from others. Like if someone else has made a consistent engine or stuff like that, you should definitely use it for your own deck if it fits. So we fit in the plant engine to give the deck a little bit more synchro consistency and give it a few more tuners, stuff like that. And basically, next part is, okay, how do we use these tuners? We've got 8 tuners in the deck. So we need to make the most out of these tuners. So we need tokens. And basically Double Warrior and Dandelion give us all the tokens we may need. And double combos very well with Junk Synchron as well as quick draw when using Level Leader. And that brings me to the next point, Level Leader. Level Leader is one of the best cards in this deck because it combos so well with the synchro mechanism. It gives you a lot of non-tuners for all of your tuners, and just in general is a combo card. So you definitely need Level Leader. And then you figure out, okay, so I've got pretty much the deck here as it is so far. We have all the useful cards and the most important cards we have maxed. So now we need more consistency, because if we just draw like these 5 cards here, we will definitely lose, because there is like, of course if you draw the right cards from these, then I guess you can have a good chance of winning, but still the deck consists of 40 cards, so you have to fit 40 cards into a deck in order for it to be playable. So the next part is bringing in a little more combo for our consistency. So we bring in Synchron Explorer because it has an amazing combo with Quick Draw and Level Leader that instantly makes our target. And we bring in a TG engine because it also makes level 5s and it gives us access to a whole new level 5 synchro tuner monster, TG Wonder Magician, which can also make Quasar with Level Leader, of course. So basically that's how you make the monster lineup, and of course you have Unknown Synchron because you need it for Road Warrior. So you have to sit down and figure out every single combo in your deck, what it needs, what it doesn't need, cut the things it doesn't need, and keep in the things that are most consistent and give the best results. So for the 2 Max Cs, the general purpose of these is simply to cope with the meta as it is and give you some good cards, some good draws for when you do not start or when you don't have your combo. Then you can wait for your opponent to make plays, then possibly get a +1 or +2 out of this card, and then next turn you can make your plays, your combos. So for most combo decks, this is a really good card to have, because the more cards you have in your hand, the better your chances are to make your combo. Alright, so the next step, after you've found out which cards fit into your deck and fit into the whole combo style of play, you need to put in some staples. So staples are cards that fit into almost every deck because they are exceptionally good at something that most decks use. And those staples include Dorathor, or of course, again, this is my opinion, you don't have to agree, but this is the staples I have. And for me, that's Dorathor, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, and Mind Control. These 4 cards fit into basically any deck, because even if you do not run tuners, your deck can still XYZ summon with Mind Control, and it's just a great advantage card. It's a great card for pushing, very versatile card, and very, very broken. Another card that isn't really in this deck but is also pretty much a staple in this format is Book of Moon. But for the purpose of this deck, we do not use Book of Moon because we do not need to be especially defensive in any way. So, next thing you gotta look at is cards that will boost your deck, boost your consistency, boost your combo and stuff like that. And under spell cards for this deck, card destruction is a really good choice because looking at the deck you can see, okay, there's a possibility for very dead hands and stuff like that. So basically card destruction is a good choice to get rid of bad hands, get some good stuff in the graveyard and draw new cards. Foolish Burrow combos well with most of the cards because they need to be in the graveyard. 1-for-1 is good because it's just in general good with the plant engine and you have a lot of level 1 monsters that you want to get out or get in the grave, so it's great. Pot of Avarice because pretty much any good deck needs some kind of draw power to get the cards you need faster and stuff like that. And the rest of the deck is basically for the same purpose of Pot of Avarice, to get you the cards you need as fast as you can. Search cards are also very good in pretty much any deck, and if you can choose between playing free of one monster, or maybe two of the monster and a search card, you should almost always play that. Because if you need to get a monster, you need 3 copies of a monster, and you use a search card to search out one of those copies, you automatically used a card in your deck. So your deck is smaller, or the rest of your deck is smaller, and it gives you a higher chance to draw some of the limited cards that can give you a great boost to winning. So I guess that's basically how you would build this deck from scratch. You have to look at what you want to do, look at all the combos, the possibilities and stuff like that. But the most important thing is to just sit down and really think about, what do I want to make? Because for me, deck building is more of a process done off board. Like whenever you get a great idea for Yu-Gi-Oh or stuff like that, just find a pen or a piece of paper and write it down. Then maybe you can use it for some time later, put together some ideas, make a great deck, something like that. And that's basically how I get my ideas. They just come to me randomly, and I find out, okay, this could actually make a pretty good deck, this combo or just stuff like that. That really truly makes this game amazing. Yeah, I guess that was pretty much how you would make a good combo deck. Alright, I think that was it for this time, guys. I was actually planning to show you my newest deck, my newest Agent Stun deck, but I think I've already gone way too far over the time limit on this video. I'll probably end up cutting a lot of the stuff off, but basically I think it's best if I show it another time, perhaps next time, depending on what I decide to do vis-a-vis the cards. No, wait, I mean the other things I wanted to talk about, like how to play cards and read cards and stuff like that. And also I have some exams coming up pretty soon, so I don't even know if I will be able to update for the next week or so, but I will definitely try to give you another update. Perhaps it will just be a small one with the Agent deck, Agent Stun deck, and how it works, and perhaps a couple of games depending on how much time I have. So yeah, I guess that was it for this time. I hope you enjoy, I hope you keep watching, and I hope you got a lot of great tips and ideas to start your new decks. Just remember that nobody can tell you really how to make a creative deck, because creativity and ideas come from yourself. So you have to think about certain ideas, certain specific things you want to do, and just do them and test and test and test and keep trying your deck against other decks and see how it works, and then you should adjust it, keep it simple, keep specific combos that you would like to get out almost every game, and just keep playing until you finally change the deck enough so that you can actually win with it and you can actually go competitive with it. Deck testing is one of the most important things that a competitive deck needs. Creative or not creative, doesn't matter. Deck test, deck test, deck test. And with those words, I think I'll be ending this recording. I hope I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed, and see you guys.